Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you enjoy my explanations of Lord of the Mysteries, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps me keep making these chapter breakdowns for you. Let's do a small recap of chapter 215, Mrs. Sammer. Previously, in chapter 215, Klein's journey in Backlund began with a sharp train whistle and the sudden pursuit of a teenage boy. Calm and resourceful, the boy tricked his pursuers, leaving Klein quietly impressed. When the train reached Sherwood Borough, Klein made his way to Minsk Street, where he met the graceful Mrs. Sammer. Over tea, they discussed the rent for Unit 15, and after some careful bargaining, Klein secured his new residence with a reduced deposit. Later, he met her husband, Luke Sammer, who politely welcomed him. Alone in the echoing rooms, Klein accepted his new identity. From that moment forward, in the heart of Backlund, he would live not as Klein Morty, but as Sherlock Moriarty, private detective. And so his new life quietly began. Chapter 216, The Same Old Gathering. The next morning in Backlund was shrouded in fog. The streets were gray, the air damp and heavy with coal smoke. In his modest new apartment at 15 Minsk Street, Klein's breakfast was simple: 2 thin slices of toast, a smear of poor quality butter, and a cup of weak black tea. It was far from luxurious, but it was enough to begin the day. After dressing neatly in his detective's suit, Klein stepped out into the cold streets. His first destination was the Backlund Bulletin, one of the smaller newspapers in the city. There he placed his very first advertisement. Sherlock Moriarty, private detective, reasonable fees, strict confidentiality, office at 15 Minsk Street. He deliberately avoided the larger and more popular newspapers. Klein wanted to keep a low profile, quietly building his cover while limiting his activity to Backlund itself. Too much attention could invite danger. Once his advertisement was set, Klein wandered through the streets, his eyes scanning the shops and stalls. He wasn't sightseeing, he was gathering supplies. From different stores, he purchased herbs, powdered materials, and thin slices of silver. These were essential for ritualistic preparations. While each item seemed ordinary, together they carried heavy cost. By the end of his errands, Klein's funds had dropped to 92 pounds. Back in his apartment, Klein carefully set out his ingredients. He crushed powders, mixed herbs, and performed small, precise rituals. His goal was simple: to create Holy Night Powder, a temporary tool that could replace more complex ritual equipment. As the faint smoke curled upward, he reminded himself that detective work was not just about solving crimes. It was a way to meet people, to hear whispers, and to eventually touch the hidden world of Beyonders. In the afternoon, Klein sat by the window, flipping through several newspapers. His eyes scanned headlines, looking for business opportunities. But nothing he read seemed reliable. Investments were either too risky or outright scams. He sighed and folded the paper shut. At 2:45, Klein locked his bedroom door, drew the curtains, and sat upright. Slowly, he let his spirituality rise. The ordinary room seemed to dim as he built a wall of spirituality around himself. His consciousness shifted, lifting, soaring. And in an instant, he was no longer in Backlund. He was above the gray fog. Elsewhere, others prepared for the same moment. Far away in the city of Silver, Derek Berg leaned against a bonfire during his patrol, pretending to rest while secretly preparing for the gathering. His expression was calm, but his heart carried both caution and hope. In another part of Backlund, Audrey Hall sat alone in her luxurious bedroom. She gently placed her dog Susie at the foot of her bed and shut her eyes. Her heart raced with anticipation. She wanted guidance, a path that might allow her to advance to Sequence 8. Out at sea, within the cabin of a ship, Alger Wilson sat in silence. Before him lay several pages of Roselle's diary, the script neatly copied and memorized. His face was stern, the ocean's constant rocking unable to disturb his focus. And then they all arrived. The long bronze table stretched endlessly in the silent world above the gray fog. High-backed chairs stood in their familiar places. The fool Klein sat at the head, calm and composed, his figure obscured in mist. The hanged man, Alger, was the first to speak. His voice echoed softly as he addressed the fool. In exchange for the divine blessing that had helped him defeat Vice Admiral Hurricane, he offered 19 complete pages of Emperor Rosel's diary. His words carried both respect and sincerity. Klein accepted without visible emotion. His authority was steady, natural, as if he had always been the ruler of this mysterious space. The other members, the Sun and the Justice, watched in silence, curiosity flickering in their eyes. One by one, Klein unfolded the diary pages and began to read. Among the many entries, one in particular drew his attention. Rosel had written of a mysterious existence that called itself Mr. Door. This being offered knowledge, power, and a path back to the world, teaching him a ritual that could supposedly open the way. But Rosel had refused. He had seen too many schemes of gods and devils to be fooled so easily. The promise of freedom was too neat, too tempting, and he feared it was nothing more than the trap of an evil god. Yet for Klein, the words sparked deep thought. This was no ordinary record. Buried within Rosel's diary were fragments of forgotten history, secrets of ancient times, and the faint outline of a truth that the present world had long buried. The fool remained calm, but inside his mind questions stirred. Who was Mr. Door? What power did he hold? And why had his name been erased from the world? And so the Tarot Club's meeting continued. On the surface, it was the same as always, calm exchanges, measured bargains, the passing of secrets. But beneath it all, something was changing. A new thread had been introduced into the tapestry of fate. For Klein, this was no longer just another gathering. It was the beginning of a mystery. The mystery of Mr. Door.